Good day, everybody. So I'm back in the car. I've been off for about a week, enjoying my vacation. Did a few uploads. I'm here with Kenzie, taking her to the park again. And while off on vacation, I was watching a series upon recommendation from a couple of friends called Penny Dreadful. I guess it came out a few years ago. I never heard anything about it. They described it as League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but good. And I mean, I understand where they're going. It's an ensemble cast of literary characters, but it's nothing like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, either the movie or the book. It is good. I'm not gonna lie. It was really, really well done. It was realized very well. The character acting is really solid. Characters are compelling, but after watching the entire series from a 1,000 yards up, looking at it as a whole, my assessment is that the whole series is really feminist power fantasy, and it's not overt except in the third season where they really lay it on thick, but it centers around a character called Vanessa Ives, who's a friend of Mina Murray when she's young. Mina Murray being Mina Harker, being Jonathan Harker's wife in Bram Stoker's Dracula. Anyway, I'm not going to blow much of the plot, but basically, because of youthful indiscretions and basically allowing sin into her life, she becomes corrupted and ultimately becomes the target of supernatural entities that want her for their own nefarious ends. She's a very strong, capable woman, very smart, and that I have no problem with. That's great. I want strong, capable characters no matter what their gender. And they need to be believable. They need to be tragic in a sense, and she is tragic. She's broken like Jessica Jones broken, if you ever watched the Netflix series Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones is a very broken character, so broken that it becomes difficult to watch the show because of how broken she is. But Vanessa Ives is enjoyable to watch. She's broken many times and comes back, is reborn a number of times throughout the 3-season series. But when I say it's feminist power fantasy, it's because throughout the entire series there are undertones of women are strong and are mistreated. Now, keep in mind, it takes place in Victorian England, so these sentiments were not uncommon, that women were being mistreated. Women were second-class citizens up until a point, until they, attained suffrage and the same rights as men. So that's fine. However, they lay it on pretty thick by the third season. Billie Piper of Doctor Who fame, probably the best companion Doctor Who ever had. She plays a woman named Brona Croft in the first season, who is this, lower class Irish strumpet. I wouldn't say she's a strumpet. She's a lower class Irish woman who, lives on sort of the fringes of society, basically just to survive. By the third season, she's a completely different character, and it's the abuse that she suffers in the first season that lends her to become the character she is in the third season. Again, I don't want to blow too much, but essentially she becomes this sort of like militant feminist activist and engages in all manner of crimes against men as a form of like retributive justice. Lays it on pretty thick. There are a number of female characters. I mean, in the second season, there is a, your stereotypical feminist witch character who, again, very well portrayed, very well acted. But and when I say it's feminist power fantasy, I'm not trying to be insulting to it, because everybody writes a narrative with a sort of worldview in mind, even if it's subconscious, right? They have to justify their characters' actions and words, and they do that by framing it inside a philosophy. You have to do this if you're going to write a decent script. You have to understand a worldview, and this worldview that was being presented in Penny Dreadful is this Victorian era. Society is broken, society is cruel, London is a cesspool. Apart from being this very rich, metropolitan city, there's all this untold suffering going on throughout. The utopian scree, right? The scree from the left who says we have all this wealth, but look at all these people who go without. Yeah, but again, going back to Victorian and even before Victorian times, this has always been the case. There have always been people who suffered, and there have always been people who thrived. Even before human beings had language. This is axiomatic. This is characteristic of biology. I was going to say the biological condition, but it's characteristic of all biology. There are those that thrive, and there are those that eke out an existence, and there are those that fail. And to think that human beings are going to be above that or outside of that is utopian in view. Again, this is a worldview that's been crafted in Penny Dreadful, and they do it quite well, if a little bit ham-fisted at times. But when I say it's feminist power fantasy, some of the dialogue, some of the positions, some of the philosophy espoused, I guess, approaches the level of cringe feminist power fantasy. Now, is this a good series despite the feminist power fantasy, feminist cringe? Yeah, it's really good. At the end of the day, it tries, I don't want to say it tries, because I don't want to infer the intent of the creators. In what appears to be an attempt to paint men as being, despicable for a large part of it, which they do, and they are in this book, or in this movie, or series, and women being this downtrodden lot that have the power to take control if they would only wield it, or if supernatural forces were at their disposal. If that was the intent, what they did in the end was basically the opposite. They showed that women are as corrupt and evil as men are equally capable of immorality and despicable acts, and ultimately they kind of debunked that sort of narrative. So maybe this is my antimatter SJW eyes viewing it. I don't know. Maybe now I see identity politics and social justice and everything, because I've been so immersed in it, or exposed to it to a degree where it's become obvious to me when I see it. Kind of like the way Anita Sarkeesian was saying, everything is racist, everything is sexist, everything is homophobic. Maybe now, because of all of the media I've been watching, I can say that everything is identity politics, everything is social justice, and everything is cringe leftism and critical race theory. It seems that that's the way. Now, even talking to my friends who, are on the normie side, they're like, yeah, man, it's everywhere now. It wasn't necessarily when Penny Dreadful first came out, but I don't think it's that old. In any event, it's a really good series. I strongly encourage you to watch it. There's lots of boobs, there's lots of nudity. If you can get past full frontal male nudity, if you're a guy, some guys don't care about that, don't like it, I should say. I don't care either way. But there's lots of nudity. Billie Piper's got the cutest little body. Anyway, I sound like a lech. But check it out. Penny Dreadful is really worth the watch. Let me know in the comments if you've seen it, or you go to watch it and you see what I'm talking about in terms of it being this sort of almost cringy feminist power fantasy. But please, I strongly encourage you to watch it. Timothy Dalton's great. The guy who plays Ethan Chandler is great. The woman who plays Vanessa Ives is great. Billie Piper is great. But, oh, I should say this. The one character who is the most sympathetic of all the characters is the character of Caliban, aka John Clare, aka Frankenstein's monster. He is the only one who, in my view, is redeemable. He's the only one who is a legitimate victim throughout the entire thing and is actually a decent person, despite the fact that he's not really a person because he's a golem. He's a reanimated corpse. Anyway, please go check it out. Penny Dreadful is worth watching if you haven't watched it already. If you have seen it and you do watch it, please let me know in the comments what you thought of my analysis of it being, you know, feminist power fantasy. Anyway, I'm at the park. Kenzie's losing her mind. She wants to go play with the other puppies. And I'll talk to y'all later. You take care. Bye-bye. Bumpy.